Welcome back to Raising Hell
To heaven.
to Heaven. Oh, we timed that somehow, even with the lag. So, today we are going to be talking about newcomers and
Just you.
seasoned pros, right?
Yep.
Wait, I didn't hear you. What did we call it? What did you say it was called?
We called this episode Just You Wait.
Just You.
Just you wait.
It's a beautiful name. So basically, what we're talking about is being in, for Kate, recovery, for me, the Christian world, and watching the newcomers pop in with their like excitement and zest. And I'm like, I wish I could like download that, I wish I could get that excitement from horrible reference, Chelsea. Horrible. Bad timing. Anyways, I wish, but I wish I could get that like excitement that you get when you're first, you first fall in love with the Lord, you first get clean, that first, right? And it's similar to a high, right? Because you keep chasing that. But what you realize is nothing is like your first. Nothing is like your first love. Nothing is like your first kiss. Nothing is like the first time you had sugar and got a sugar rush as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the same sort of thing actually in the Christian community. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, but also with, sobriety. As time goes on, it becomes a little more difficult, right? To stay in working out, the first couple days, the first month of the year, everyone's up in the gym. Like,
Yeah.
yes. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, no.
Yeah. That's how it, but what's so interesting is I'm like the noob. I mean, I send Chelsea all these Christian memes now because I'm like Jesus. So I'm a newcomer like with that. Um and then obviously like with recovery, even though I've had like a few relapses, like I've been in the rooms for a while now. And I guess this time it's different. Like you go in with this attitude of honesty, like I wanted to get a tattoo, like the like the just for today tattoo, and all this wild stuff because
Yes.
you're just so like pumped and so lit, and it's just like nothing's
Yeah.
ever gonna pull me off this pink cloud. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's great. I think you've got to, in a sense, you need to feel that passion again for something. You need to feel that initial thing, but be warned that it's not always smooth sailing, and things get tough. Like the rose colored glasses do come off, and it's almost like we need to equip people with what do you do when it gets hard again.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think that's the, never ending question. And coming back to your roots, coming back to what made you start in the first place. And I think I see this as like a pretty prominent topic in marriage as well. I saw something the other day that said, write down a list of why you fell in love. And that way, when you're fighting or whatever, you can bring out the box and look at those reasons. Um, and I think, like for me, for example, when I moved back to California from Seattle after being like, okay, so both happened, right? When I went to Seattle, Seattle was super exciting. Like it was new, it was exciting, I was amped, everything looked pretty, and even the bad looked nice. It was just new and fresh and exciting, and I appreciated it, right? And then after a year of
Mm.
being there, and it got tough, and it got dark, and it got rainy, it got depressing. So then when I came back to California, I was like, ooh, Malibu, I love it here. And so I really tried to take a moment in that and just be like, remember this feeling. Because this feeling is going to go away. You're going to be like having a tough day, dealing with whatever life throws at you. And all of a sudden, The flowers aren't going to look so bright. The sound of the ocean isn't going to be as sweet. You know what I mean? Like all of those things, they start to get muddled by our worries or just by um, complacency or getting used to something. So it's actually really helped me. Like I've only been home for about 6 months, but I definitely, when I'm having a hard time, I take a moment and I look around and I'm like, what are you upset about? Like, look where you are. Look what you have to be grateful for. Look how beautiful it is outside. You're healthy. Yeah. So perception is everything. It's the same thing with recovery, with being a Christian. But it's definitely interesting to see the people who are newer on their June journey. And I think that's important. That's great for the old timers to be able to see and remember by looking at them. That's what I used to feel like. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
100%. 100%. I think it's really important. I mean, you know, I don't know if you suffer from this though. And I do. And I was thinking about it the other day. I was just like, I was sitting, I was listening to this amazing share. And it's the same. Like, I find, going to an NA meeting, say, and going to church so similar in the sense that, like, I always get such a powerful message. And maybe that's just me, but it always happens. And I was sitting in a meeting just listening to this, and I had this weird flashback of when I came into recovery. It was almost like, okay, cool, I did rehab, went in, and then I was just like, okay, here, I'm going to go to meetings and you're going to fix it. Like, I'm just going to sit here and you're going to fix it, but I'm kind of going to work my own program, and I'm still going to leave a back door open here, and I'm going to change just to the point where it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't want to get too uncomfortable. Like, that's asking too much. So that's where I was at.
Okay.
And that's where I was at for years. And I didn't know why, like, it wasn't working. And it's the same, with my faith. Like, oh, why wasn't God working in my life? Because I wasn't allowing Him to work in my life. I wasn't allowing recovery because I wasn't surrendering. I wasn't giving it all over. I wasn't committed to really doing what it takes. And I feel like you could say the same for both. You have to be disciplined with this. Discipline is love. Discipline is love. And, you know, for me, like when I came back to my faith, when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, that that is handing stuff over. And we speak about this in the rooms as well. And NA, you've got to hand it over to God. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand what that meant. I didn't understand what surrender was because I had never really done it. I gave half and I
Okay.
expected something
Yeah.
magical to happen, when I wasn't showing up properly. I wasn't showing up.
Okay. So
Mm.
how would you describe like what the difference is between giving half and giving fully surrendering? What does that look like to you?
If anybody has ever had braces on their teeth and your braces come off, that is what surrender feels like. It's this smooth, like first you feel naked. It's this weird, like like you just want to go like it's like you're standing on the edge of a cliff. That kind of feeling, like braces coming off.
Yeah.
It's this crazy thing. I don't really know how to
Okay.
explain it, but it's freedom. This is how I think freedom feels because I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm
Okay.
not trying to control everything. And I'm committed to
That part.
this.
That part. Mm-hmm.
Mm,
I like that. I don't
it's letting
know
go.
what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting go. Like completely letting go. I think there's a fine line, and we do this dance, right, as people, between like fully surrendering. It's like, so how do you fully surrender and yet still like, but you don't want to also just do nothing, right? So like,
Yeah.
and I think that this is a constant question that people have. whether it's, with the universe or with God or whatever. Like, how do I stop trying to control things but still like make moves? Like, it doesn't mean go be a couch potato and stop doing anything and then the right thing will just happen. Someone will come in your house
Yeah.
and kidnap you and make you, but like, so how do you make moves in surrender, in a posture of surrender, still be like doing things but in a posture of surrender? I think that is it's a case by case thing, right? Because it's like, okay, I've surrendered my life to the Lord and now I'm trying to decide, do I take this job or this job? So which one is letting go and trusting God?
I think, and I can obviously only speak from my own personal experience, but surrender still looks like showing up when it's really uncomfortable, when you don't know if it's going to work, when you feel like you're not worthy, and it's fighting those old feelings. So for me, surrender
Yeah,
looks like going, okay, cool. I've committed to this. I'm going to see
yeah,
this through and I'm going to hand it over. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to trust that if things are supposed to work out, if this is supposed, if this is like my purpose, say, like with what we're doing with our business,
yeah,
if this is supposed to work out, I'm putting everything I
yeah,
have into this. I'm going to trust God. If it's not supposed to work, then you know what? It's not going to work. I think surrender looks like letting go of that fear. And what is fear? Future
yeah,
evidence appearing real. The future isn't doesn't exist yet, but so often we don't go after things because we're so scared of something we've imagined might happen. So I think surrender
yeah,
looks like I trust God's plan. If it doesn't work, something else is going to happen. It might hurt, it
yeah.
might be uncomfortable, I might lose everything. But if I
Mm-hmm.
trust, if I trust and I do the right things, if I follow the suggestions, if I stick,
Yeah,
to the word, I will be
yeah,
guided to where I'm meant to be. And that's it. It's blind faith. It's trusting in something you can't see.
yeah.
It's being scared and doing it anyway.
So if you're in between two scary options, you don't know which one. I know I keep putting you back in this corner.
Okay?
Like, how do you
I'm here.
know which one is winning? Huh?
I'm here. So how do you know? Ultimately, you've just got to pick one. You've got to pick. We're so scared to get it wrong because it's always like, oh, what if I pick the wrong one? You've got to trust that whatever you
Mm-hmm.
pick, if you've prayed about it, if you've been still enough, and you go with what feels right, what you think you should go for, you have to trust that that's the right decision. That's again where blind faith comes in. It's trusting because we don't know. You're not
Yeah,
very rarely, not everyone is a prophet. Not everyone is going to hear God saying you need to do that. The whole point of
yeah,
life is it's a journey. God hasn't shown us the end. We need to make our way
yeah,
through this maze, you know?
yeah.
I feel like I'm on a
I do
roll
believe
tonight.
that no matter you are. I love it. I do feel like no matter what you choose, if you are in a posture of surrender, the Lord will use it either way. He will use it one way or another. I'm sorry, my dog is probably barking
It's
at a
okay.
squirrel right now.
Don't you feel though,
He will use
Chelsea,
it.
you are going through that?
I'm sorry, my dog is just going off. Do I feel what?
Don't you feel like, look at your own life at the moment. Have you not had
Sorry,
that exact thing happen?
I've had it many times. I'm gonna let my dog inside
Yeah,
because he's having a Royce.
that's okay.
Okay. don't I feel like I have that in my own life? What do you mean by that?
I mean, what do you do? Because I mean, we chat. So what do you do when you're faced with a big decision of should I, shouldn't I? Look how things have worked out with certain situations where you haven't known what to do, and then you've just gone for it, and you've booked something, and then the
Right.
universe has showed you that maybe that wasn't for you, and you're still here. You're doing something else now. You've been
Yeah.
redirected. You've been
Yeah.
redirected. You
My
know.
best friend and I agree. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like when you pray and when you are in the word and you're doing the right things is insofar as surrendering and being in this posture of like, I really want, maybe if I'm not even fully trusting you, I really want to trust you. And you're, being actively telling, like praying to God, like, please, like, show me. Um, and we have this habit as people to be like, please show me. And then he shows us and we go the other way, right? Um, so what I'm noticing and navigating right now is that, yes, and one of my, like I was going to say, my best friend in Connecticut was telling me, she's like, you have a habit. I don't know if I've said this before. She said, you have a habit of being like, Lord, I'm going to go here. And then you use it instead of being like, Lord, where do you want me to go? And
Mm-hmm.
so I have in previous times been like, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to book the flight. I'm going to, get the job. I'm going to release the album. I'm going to, whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it. And the Lord is going to bless it or he's going to slam the door shut. I'm going to date the guy. I'm going to, whatever, whatever. And sure enough, like he does slam those doors shut when they're not supposed to be open. And almost every time I end up getting a phenomenal experience and growth lesson out of like I don't regret a single thing I've done, don't get me wrong, but I also have come to the point in my life where I don't want to keep um testing it and to see if it's still hot. Like I'm finally like, okay, maybe I should listen a little bit better. And so now I'm really noticing that the most brilliant times in my life when things really worked out really, really nicely was when I chose to wait. When I wanted to jump or leap or take that leap of faith. And I waited for him to make it really, not just waited permanently, like again, not sitting in my room hoping someone's gonna like
Yeah.
kidnap me and make all my albums for me, but waited till it was just painfully obvious that this is what God wants. And
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if you just take a moment, or maybe it's 6 months, I don't know, but take a little bit of time to really wait and see, like, okay, Lord, like, which way do you want me to go? 9 times out of 10, one of the opportunities will probably disappear or the other one will become really easy. I was praying about wanting to go to Connecticut during COVID, which is crazy because it's COVID. You should not be driving across the country. And my friend just like literally, I want to drive across the country. Like, I'll drive with you out of nowhere, like a friend I hadn't talked to in like years. You know what I mean? It was just like painfully obvious that God was like, "Here's your pass, your passport. Here's your bag." Like those sorts of. I feel like when it's meant to be, it's easy. It is, and when you feel yourself, and I'm becoming a lot more in touch and in tune with it now. When you feel yourself fighting for something, I mean, I believe in fighting for people and loving them and, fighting for love. But I believe when you feel like an anxiety in that fight, not like
Mhm.
I'm continuing to show up for, maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's the difference between fighting for someone and showing up for someone. You can show up for someone, but you can't force them to love you, right? You can show up to a job, but you can't force them to hire you. Like, there's no reason you should show up to a job and then they say no and you fight for them to hire you. Like, no. Like, if they don't appreciate you, go where you're wanted. Go where you're appreciated, you know? So I feel like the posture for me has switched to how to know the difference between those two is to really lean into showing up, but not fighting. You know, like
Well,
do all things in love.
yeah. But that, again, coming back to what this episode started as, and the key thing is like when you first come into recovery or you first accepted Jesus, you're new to Christianity, and there's this impatience. It's like we're like these little kids all over again. And I
Yeah.
think what you learn as time goes on is you learn how to exercise that patience. You learn to
Yeah.
wait. Um, when you trust God's timing, you wait so differently. I've noticed that with myself. I'm an incredibly impatient person. And especially around like now, we spoke about this before, I think, or maybe just you and I did, but being single. Like this is the longest I've been single, and I feel like I'm done now. I'm done being single. But whereas before I would have been pining over it and like obsessing over it, I've gone, God, I'm handing it over and I trust. And it's, yes, sure, those feelings come up, and I allow them to come up, but I
Mhm.
wait differently now because I know there's a plan, you know?
I love that. I love that. And I go back and forth um with the dating thing right now. I'm at the point, so I have always been a single little butterfly. Like I've always really enjoyed my freedom. When I was in high school, I didn't last in a relationship longer than like I think I had a 4 week record. I would be in a relationship for 2 weeks and then I would get over it and spend the next 2 weeks trying to figure out how to get out of it. And I have so much respect for girls curls now, girls with curls, because it's like I'm like, stay, stay, stay. Anyways, my dog is still, he's on a good one today. Anyways, um, the point being that I always enjoyed being in my singleness. What is he barking at?
It's okay.
And this is
Just
why I'm like, do I
allow.
really want kids?
Well, my kids are quiet.
They're sure as hell not barking. Royce,
There's probably
what
some
do you
excitement in the neighborhood.
There's a lawnmower in the distance.
Oof. That's
Anyways,
exciting.
so, I am actually glad I got a kid. A kid? I got a kid before. I'm glad I got a dog. I'm glad I got a dog before a kid. My dad actually said puppies are more difficult than
That's so.
kids, and most people would probably say that's crazy, but I see what he means. Because kids don't run, around ripping things up and like biting people and pooping everywhere. Like they poop in their diapers.
Well, no,
Anyways,
kids
okay,
bite. Kids bite.
they do bite. They do bite.
They're
That's
like,
true. That's true. I stand corrected. Well, we can trade if you want. Anyways, so I have always been enjoyed my singleness, and it was this last relationship that I had that was very. It made me feel good to feel like, oh, okay, like I can do this dating thing because I was in a relationship for 2 years, and I was like, okay, like I can do this in a healthy, stable relationship. So now that it's been another 2 years of me being single, now I'm like, oh no, like I'm so comfortable here. And even my therapist said, like, maybe do you think that you're afraid, right, to let anyone in because then you'll get hurt?
mm,
Like, it's cozy out here. I'm safe. No one's gonna hurt me.
so cozy, so
Like, I
cozy,
have
so
my
cozy.
girlfriends. Yeah, it's so cozy.
It
I
is.
have my girlfriends, I have my family. What?
I said it is so cozy in here. I'm not being silly.
That
I'm
was the
being
best
silly,
American
silly.
impression. Yes. But yeah, no, it's, so now the challenge is getting myself to get uncomfortable and consider dating again. And I'm like, I don't want to. I have one person in my mind that I would consider like coming out of my bubble of happiness for, and that's it. And so the other part of me is like, are you just avoiding, like feeling and getting hurt again? Or are you really correct? Is your instinct correct that they're just like, you just haven't met the one yet, or none of these are the one, or that one person that you do think is a nice idea is worth waiting for, or so, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a
Mm.
little too comfy out here. So my instinct isn't to run and get in a relationship. It is the moment I actually have someone pursuing me or talking to me, I actually get immediately, I'm like, oh, wait, wait, I was just flirting. It wasn't serious. Like,
Oh, I hear you. Runaway bride.
yeah, something like that. So, but yeah, I think that's it though. Is that if we keep showing up, and for me, that's difficult to get myself to do. The moment I start talking
Mm.
to someone, it's like they take over my mind, right? I'm worried about them. I'm anxious about them. I'm excited about them. Whatever, whatever. When there's no one to think about, I'm in this state of calm and nice and productive, and no one's distracting me. So how do you? And I think that that's the sign for me when it's the right person. I will feel like I feel now with them, right? Like my best
Yeah.
friend showed me when I was living in Connecticut. That was my, like, the first time I realized, like, this is a healthy relationship. Like, this is what a healthy relationship is supposed to feel like. No anxiety. Granted, yes, she's
Mm.
my girlfriend, but like, that is what a healthy marriage should feel like, a healthy friendship. It should be your best friend that you just marry, like,
But that
no
takes
anxiety,
work.
no
It takes
worries.
work to get there.
Yeah, it does. It does. It
Yeah.
does. And like
Because you're
just
constantly
like my
looking
best
at
friend, it
yourself.
took years before we got that. Yeah. And that's the thing. And okay, this is my theory today. Okay. So I was talking to this guy on Instagram. We're both like into movies, and or both of our romance lives are only in really films, right? So we're talking about like whether or not that exists or whatever, and waiting for the right person and not settling, right? Constant theme in society right now is not settling. So my theory of late
Mm.
is that there are only three options, okay? You either do the work on yourself and learn to be genuinely happy, and then you either end up getting lucky because you're doing the work, maybe not just luck, but just finding your person, falling in love, healthy, nourishing love that is not easy, it takes work, but you find your person. Or luck doesn't come your way, it just doesn't happen, but you refuse to settle, so you end up content but alone. Or you settle and you end up with someone, but you're always going to know that you settled, and it's going to come bite you in the butt
Yeah.
later
Look,
on in
some
life.
people are fine with that. I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Some people are, but
Mm-mm.
there's also plenty of people that aren't, that do end up like alone, and some people that are fine with not fine with being in a settled relationship, but yet they are. You know?
Mm. Yeah.
Like, they just don't, they're too afraid to leave. So they stay in the settled relationship because they don't believe that they could get better, or because
Well,
they're
this is
scared of
exactly
disaster if they walk away.
well, this is what we teach, or this is like what we, this is what I teach. Like, we are teaching this. This is our course. It is staying in something that's
Mhm.
comfortable, knowing that you want to change, knowing you want to shift your life. But it's the same with anything,
Yeah.
with addiction, relationships. We have to break that neural pathway and rewire our brains to choose a different path that's
Mhm.
not comfortable. In the beginning, it's not going to be comfortable because it's new. So that's
Yeah.
the thing. We
Amen.
like comfort. We like
We
comfort.
do. We're creatures of habit.
Yeah. And that's why I now, this year has been about pushing myself daily to do something that I find uncomfortable, whether it's a cold shower, swimming in the ocean, running further than I really wanted to run, going to gym when I'm so stiff it hurts, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
I'm forcing myself to
Yeah.
do those things. Even when we started this podcast, I was hella uncomfortable. you know, wow.
But now look
But
at you.
yay! Thriving.
Yeah, I love that. There is such power in discomfort and getting uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, and I think that that's the thing that people, I was watching this movie last night, funny enough, where this woman got famous off of her showing people that you can have it all, right? The career, the marriage, whatever, manifest it, believe in yourself, you can have it all. And the
Mm.
key, sorry, like giving away the plot here, but
You did
spoiler
this
alert.
last time.
But at
You
the end
did
of the
this last
movie,
time.
I know I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tell you what the movie is. So it won't ruin it for you. So, anyways, by the end of the movie, she ends up realizing, I'm sorry, just come to our show for spoilers of movies. By the end of the movie, she ends up realizing, she ends up realizing that having it all doesn't mean having the perfect marriage. Like having it all is here. You can be happy and content without a marriage. You can be happy because at the end of the day, that the reality is your partner might die. I hate to say this, but like this is life, you know?
Yeah,
And
it
like
is.
stuff happens. You might die. I don't know. Like so many things might happen. So all you have control over, and you're right, this is why we're teaching this, is learning to be so happy and so content with where you are now. And I think that that's why you and you're afraid of, or you're not afraid. You are excited to get into a relationship, and I'm afraid of a relationship. But both of us, with our situations and our fears and our needs and our wants, are also not rushing into either thing. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
my natural instinct, because I'm afraid of a healthy committed relationship, would be to get with a guy I know can't commit. That was my pattern for years. But now, because I'm like, I'm actually good on my own, not like on my, you know what I mean? And you are realizing you're also good on your own, in your own, and happy and fulfilled. Like that's the goal, is to get there, because if you can
Yeah.
get there and get to a place where you are happy and content with yourself and full of joy and fulfilling your purpose and waking, like I never thought I would wake up at 5 in the morning because I wanted to. What is that? Like what? Like if you had told me, like even 5 years ago, like eventually you're going to start getting up at 5 a.m. just because you really love your life and your job and you don't want to miss a moment of it. I would have laughed in your face, laughed. And now I get up 30 minutes and I'm like, oh no, I've lost 30 minutes. You know, there's so much life to be lived. There's so much to do. I'm so excited to wake up. I'm excited to work with you. I get off a call with a client and I'm like amped. I'm like, yes, changing lives, you know? But yeah, so once you nail that, once you figure out that core, like it doesn't really matter if you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, or if someone gets hurt or something happens, you can you can do it. You can get through all of it. It's just one step in front of the other. You know what I mean? Like perception, just like being able to go back and see why you started rehab, why you started, becoming sober, why you became a Christian, why you got into whatever
Yeah.
sport, why you moved to the place you like. Perception is everything. That's my rant. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I think that's just great. And I think that that's where we have to wrap this up because we went on a little journey. Again, I love it how these things start in one and they go like, it's great.
Woo! Yeah. Anyways, well, thank you for watching, guys.
Yeah.
And tune in next time. Who knows what
Yeah,
I'll look like? It's a new adventure each time.
you know, I can't wait to see.
And pretty soon, you're going to be seeing Kate and I together in South Africa.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Ciao. Subscribe,
Bye.
like,
You know the drill.
how do I stop this thing?